There we go. All right, so thumbs up from everybody's ready to roll here. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us today on this workshop Wednesday, first one of 2023. Welcome, and my name is Jennifer Slattery. I'm the Director of Training with the League of Cities and Towns for Rhode Island, and today we have our friends from the EMA here to talk with us about some funding opportunities. So I will let them give you the details, and I'd like to turn it over to Executive Director Mark Pappas.
Hey, thanks, Jennifer. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Appreciate Ernie Almonte and Jennifer facilitating this discussion today, an important discussion for sure, because I love to give money away, and I want to give money away to you today if you're willing to work with us to do that. I've had the opportunity to visit every city and town in the state over the years since I've been here at EMA, and I know there are projects that need to be done regarding hazard mitigation. And it's an important topic for us. And in fact, it's one of my top strategic goals, which is to build a more resilient state through innovative mitigation strategies. And one of the things we can do is give you information today to arm yourselves. So when you have projects in your cities and towns that can be remedied through a hazard mitigation project and funding through FEMA, which we can help you with, and help you apply for, it just makes for a better and more resilient state. So today I have my planning branch chief, who is an expert in hazard mitigation, who's going to take us through a PowerPoint presentation all about a hazard mitigation program, what things are and are not eligible for funding. And I think when you take a look at your cities and towns, you'll be able to go, hey, that may be eligible for a project, and there's funding that I can apply for through us to FEMA to help fix some of those problem areas, and we all know what those are, right? So I'm going to turn it over to Melinda Hopkins, my planning branch chief, and again, thank you all today for joining. I hope you find this informative. I hope you can take advantage of some of this money that's there and make your cities and towns more prepared for disaster. So Melinda.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. So I have a short presentation to discuss. We actually want to discuss hazard mitigation grant program today. There are other methods of funding for FEMA, but right now we want to talk about the HMGP, which we have about 26 million or so to give away for the cities and towns for these hazard mitigation projects. So, plus there's also another like 700,000 for another disaster. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get moving with the presentation. There we go. Okay. All right. Everyone see that all right?
Yeah, we're good, Melinda. Thanks.
Okay. So hazard mitigation grant, as you know, I don't want to read through the entire slide, but it's given to states after a presidential major disaster declaration. So right now we have 4505, which is COVID disaster deck. And this is authorized under the section 404 of the Stafford Act. So as I stated earlier, there's about 26 million available statewide. It's eligible for, you know, state, local governments, municipalities, different projects, including, as it says here, stormwater upgrades, drainage and culvert improvements, property acquisition, demolition. So then you turn it into open space, slope stabilization, infrastructure protection, structure elevations. Right now, the deadline for this is February 3rd. Actually, sorry, February 1. I don't know why that says 3. We are working on trying to get an extension for this. Not sure. We have asked FEMA. It has gone to FEMA headquarters. So even though, you know, we do have the application process a few weeks left to get these applications put together, we have help here that can actually assist cities and towns to put these applications together as well. So don't let the date scare you. Again, 26,828,651 in HMGP. And right now for this one, 4505, this match is 10%. So normally these are 75-25, but right now it's 90-10. So I mean, that's a good, a good reason to take advantage of this funding right now, because you only have to provide 10% of the funding instead of 25%. So that I think is a great incentive to try and get projects put together. These are the eligible sub-applicants, again, local governments, private nonprofits. So if there's someone on here that is not eligible to be a sub-applicant, like say there's a homeowner who wants to do, raise their house, the city or town has to put in that application on their behalf. So just keep that in mind. It has been done. We've had, home acquisitions, we've had elevations completed, through HMGP, and the city and town puts in for it. So the period of performance for HMGP is 36 months. So application period ends February 1. You have 36 months from that date to complete the project. So again, you want to look at these projects and see what you can get completed within that 36-month time frame. And a lot of this can be completed that way. These are just showing some types of projects that it can fund. So I mean, generators for critical facilities. So if you have, if there's your EOC or fire stations, police stations, things like that, you can definitely, put in for that. And as I stated, property acquisition, structure demolition. So if there's a structure that's in the special flood hazard area and, they flood a lot and these homeowners want to get out of that situation, they can come to you and, you can work out on that. So you do the property acquisition, demo the structure, and then it stays in open space in perpetuity. Dry flood proofing, localized flood risk reduction. So I mean, there's, the different forms for that. You've got non-localized flood risk reduction as well. Retrofitting, wind retrofitting, infrastructure retrofit, and non-structural as well as structural retrofitting. So there's lots of projects here that can be completed using hazard mitigation grant funding. Hurricane safe rooms. Not that I've seen, many of those in the state of Rhode Island, but it's still something. Slope stabilization. I mean, if you have areas that you're able to do this in. Stream restoration. So this just kind of describes them a little bit more. With reconstruction, the mitigation reconstruction. So it's construction, of an improved elevated building on the same site where existing building or foundation had been partially or completely demolished or destroyed. So you can, apply for that. Historic structures, if you have historic structures in your city or town and you're looking at ways to mitigate that, there's definitely, dry flood proofing. Some have actually elevated historic structures as long as it doesn't affect that historic integrity of the structure, then you can elevate them. The generators. So for localized flood risk reduction, as you see, it says like culverts, stormwater management facilities, retention, detention basins, flood walls. So, I mean, there's many ways that you can, look at these. One thing with, like, if you're doing culverts, you're going to want to make sure that you're not doing things just because of lack of maintenance or, deferred maintenance. FEMA will not cover anything if it's due to lack of maintenance. So if you have a dam project that you want to complete, then you need to show that it's actually going to raise the, how you're going to, make sure it's higher in protection than it was. So you want, you have to show that. You can't just show that, it hasn't been maintained. And again, this non-localized, so rehabilitation of dams, modification, dikes, levees, flood walls, seawalls. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can be completed. Structural retrofitting. Again, take a look at if you have any buildings in town, your city or town buildings that need some structural retrofitting to help, for that mitigation factor. Wind retrofitting for 1 and 2 family residences. So, I mean, if you have some homeowners that also, want to do this. Infrastructure retrofitting, reducing the risk to, roads, bridges. So all of that can be completed. I've had, people put in for raising roads that get flooded a lot. So, you have to look at these soil stabilization, different ways to, stabilize that so it doesn't wash away during a flood. And these are just some, things that are ineligible. So as it says, if it does not reduce risk to people, structures, or infrastructure, and, they forget it, FEMA won't apply, they will not award funding for something on that. You have to be reducing the risk. Anything that's under like US Army Corps. So if you have a dam that's owned by the US Army Corps, which we don't have many of those in the state anyway, but that it would not be eligible for that. Projects where the work has already started. So, I mean, if you had a project that you've already started and you want to say, hey, maybe I'm going to try and put in for some funding for this project, it won't be eligible because you've already started that project. And as I had stated, deferred maintenance. So that's anything that you can't show you have maintenance records on. There is the hazard mitigation guidance that has a complete list of eligible and ineligible activities. And that can be found just by doing a quick search for FEMA HMA guidance, and make sure you look at the addendum as well. So these are some projects that we've had, people put in for, that they're working on applications for Rhode Island right now under the 4505. So we've gone through a few of them and had them, they've been reviewed by FEMA, reviewed by us. So now people are working on their actual applications. That's just a small list compared to the amount of funding that we have. There's 26 million. We need to get this money out there. Criteria for selection. So, I mean, this is how, when FEMA's reviewing, you have to have a hazard mitigation plan for projects. You can put in to update a hazard mitigation plan, but I mean, there's other funding out there for that. If you don't have a FEMA approved hazard mitigation plan, then it will not be, they won't approve your project. So you have to make sure it's a beneficial impact. You have to follow also a benefit cost analysis. FEMA has a BCA tool, and I know I'll get on a little bit further with that, where it has to be greater than 1 when you're doing the BCA. It's going to be in conformance with 44 CFR Part 9, all environmental historical preservation. So you have to, and there's lists in here too. We are going to send this PowerPoint out to everyone as well, so you can, look through it. Again, mitigation plans are needed. We are actually, RIEMA works with all municipalities on updating their plans. We're in the process of reviewing a couple of plans right now, and others are in the works. We cannot waive a requirement for the mitigation plan, and there is also no extensions given for mitigation plans. If your mitigation plan expires on, like, say it expired 1/1/2023, it's expired and you don't have a FEMA approved plan. They don't give extensions on mitigation plans. So there's a scope of work, schedule, cost estimate, cost effectiveness, EHP compliance. These are all parts of the sub application that have to be completed. Assurance forms. And again, though, like I said, we have assistants here to help you complete those applications. So this is about the benefit cost analysis. You want to make sure you come out with 1.0 or greater. FEMA's tool, you can, if you do a search for FEMA BCA tool, you want to make sure you're downloading the current tool because it gets updated a lot. So you want to make sure you're downloading the current tool and utilizing that tool to do your benefit cost analysis. And again, we can assist you with these. It allows the creation, so it has all the different modules by natural hazards, project types. So you know, like I said, you can go in and put these in, and there are questions, like it pops up. So there's things you have to fill in. It's going to ask like project useful life, and it has all of that information in there. Environmental and historic preservations. So any projects, you know, funded by HMGP, they have to make sure that they adhere to all EHP regulations and laws. They do have an overview of, you know, FEMA has an overview of what's needed for the EHP. There are some projects where it'll ask you, you know, are you within 50 feet of a historic structure? Or, you know, you need to mark down which structures are within that range and if it's going to be affected. Again, these are, you know, the requirements for the EHP, the environmental and historic preservation, biological resources, water and biological water resources, coastal, pollution control, debris management, historic cultural resources. So these are all factors that are taken into consideration when the sub-application is reviewed. There is a checklist of the HMA guidance for the EHP. So, I mean, it's a good tool to utilize when you're going through creating your application. Definite job aids that are available from FEMA. They do try to help with everything. We do have a FEMA fit person here in our office, Terry, who is able to assist as well. And also our new state has a mitigation officer. She is able to assist us, you know, in creating these applications. And that's all I have. So if there's any questions.
Hey, Melinda, just before we take questions, just going to chime in one quick second.
Yep.
So, you know, as Melinda said, this is a 90-10 deal, right? You know, if I said to you, I want to give you $1,000, just give me $100 back. I mean, I don't know who doesn't take advantage of that. The paperwork sounds a lot more daunting than it really is. And when Melinda says we're here to help, that's 100% the truth. And so what I'm hoping is we get questions, whether it be on this call or offline. Melinda's leaving her information up. You can call her, email her. And I know that a lot of you, when you looked at this presentation, I think it was slides 7, 8, 9, all those pictures of the flooded roads and compromised buildings. I've seen them in your communities. I know you know they exist. So please take advantage of this money. There's a lot there, and it can help each and every one of you through those problem areas in all of your cities and towns. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer and any questions anybody has for Melinda or me or Terry at FEMA.
Absolutely. Thank you. So folks, you do have the ability to just take yourself off of mute or put a question in the chat. Raise your hand, however you want to do it. But we'd love to entertain some questions. This is a lot of good opportunity. See if there's any takers here.
And as I said, Jennifer's going to forward this presentation out as well. So that way, you know, if you had questions on certain one.
Oh, we have a hand. Diane.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Melinda.
Hi, Diane.
Hi.
From Bristol. Hi. I have a couple of questions. I saw in the slide, I think I read that you need the FEMA approved plan prior to the obligation of funds, but not when you apply. Did I read that right?
It's actually when the application is submitted, because FEMA will look at whether or not you have the approved plan.
Okay. So I guess we are in the process of updating our plan. I don't expect we'll have it ready by February, but I guess, is there any opportunity to partner with a state agency if we have a project that we think might be a good one?
We could discuss that.
Okay,
you know, depending what the project is and everything, and we could discuss and see if that's a possibility.
all right, cool. And then my last question is, does this fund planning studies and feasibility studies, or is it just construction?
If you were to do that, this is the thing with HMGP, if you were to do advanced assistance for it is what you would put it under. You have to also put in a project application under that same grant. Like,
Okay,
so under 4505, you have to put in 2 applications. Your study application and then also a project application. Otherwise, you'd have to return the funding from the study if you
Okay.
didn't put in the project.
okay, so it'd be like you'd phase it, like phase 1 would be the study and phase 2 would be the construction. Okay.
Right.
All right, I have a small little project I'll share with you and see if there's another way we can apply.
Okay,
All right, thanks.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Diane. Anyone else? All your questions are helpful to everyone, so I'm gonna do going once, going twice. All right. Well, I would like to certainly thank you, Melinda and Director Pappas and Jerry as well for joining us, and all of you folks for signing on to learn more about this great opportunity. I have recorded this session, so I will upload it to our YouTube channel, and you can share it with other folks that might be relevant in your communities. And we'll also get out the PowerPoint slides to you folks as well. So thank you again, and any more money you want to give away, please let us know, and we'd be happy to have you on again and share the wealth. So thank you all, and wish you a happy new year.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care now.